Oh, the council meeting last night. Yeah, that was, it was interesting. I watched a lot of it, and I guess you got to watch all of it. Once new business started coming on, I just sort of tuned out. I shouldn't have, because during the regular meeting, there was all the lobbying for the zoo and talk about that. And I had to chuckle at one point, how they want to go tin cup to everybody. Now they're talking, take their tin cup over to the Development Authority and have the city representatives, including Mrs. Doheny, lobby to get money from them for the, no, not council's job to do that. You're lobbying for money for a private corporation. No, that's not your job. But anyway, so that was going on, but also the tax cap. Now, years ago, in the Cuomo years, there was this idea of a tax cap, and it's based on some computations, but it's around 2.5% usually. And you have to stay beneath that, the increase, unless you pass a local law to allow an override. And you have to introduce it, second it, and then have a public hearing, which they did. Well, it came up for a vote, like maybe they all considered it and listened to the public and all of that jazz and came to the conclusion we don't want the cap lifted. So they voted 3-2 against lifting the cap. That would have capped the tax increase at 2.55%. So, oh boy, they're standing up for the taxpayers. That's great. And there was all this consternation among the staff members, the comptroller, the manager, all that. But, to that I would just say, well, do your job. And so I tuned out when they started new business. Apparently somebody made a motion to go in executive session to discuss personnel matters, but those aren't personnel matters. And they went in and immediately they're talking about, you got to turn that vote over. There's going to be layoffs. You can't do that. And pretty soon, two of the council members, Ms. Ruggiero and Mr. Schoen, folded. Yeah. Folded. Olney was the other one who voted to keep the tax cap in place. So they go out in the other room. Mr. Schoen makes a motion, Ms. Ruggiero seconds, to reconsider the vote they took on that local law. I thought once you took a vote, it was over, but I did check. Robert's Rules of Orders, which they abide by, does allow for a reconsideration of a vote within the same meeting if the request for reconsideration comes from one of the people who was on the prevailing side of the original vote, which they were. So, legal, I'm not disputing it. Legal. And I'm not charging the $400 an hour to say it either. I just went to ChatGPT. That's how I found that out. But they all do. So they reversed their vote. So now the tax cap is gone. And they can raise it as much as they want. They don't have to. They could still, but they're not going to. They're desperate to raise taxes. They're going to end up raising them 7 to 9%. They'll knock a couple little items out that they've already identified, change a couple assumptions, and that'll be it. And they will fully fund, well, at least the city portion of the zoo. So those people will be happy. Yeah, I don't know. It was, if you watch, it was a packed house, no doubt about it. A lot of people there. A lot of people. And they had people in the zoo T-shirts, they had kids getting it. They had it all there. They had it. And so the council got all misty, and said, we got to spend the money. Yeah, and they're going to. Oh, well. Yeah, boy, when they upheld that tax cap by a 3-2 vote, I said, wow. There's some spine here. Because, you get all this grief from the city staff. Oh, my God, all this woe is us, and you can't do that, and all of that. Well, they fell for it. there would not have, if they had held firm on that cap, there would have been no tax increase or no layoffs. If that's what you're concerned about. You know, you're concerned, well, there wouldn't have been. So the spenders win again. Somebody texting, can we ban privilege of the floor for sex offenders? I don't know. Well, we got a text from the mayor. She says tax cap was not discussed in executive session. After we broke for executive session, there were members who didn't understand what the vote on the tax cap meant. Whoa. Wanted to change their position and asked the attorney how to do so. Well, once you adjourn to executive session, if you're just walking to the back room, you've still adjourned to executive session. I don't want to split hairs because we had a rapprochement with the mayor yesterday. We're getting along swimmingly. But she agrees. She says, I agree there's no rationale for discussing the tax cap in executive session. They should have raised those questions up front. I voted on this. I want to change my vote. I didn't know what I was voting on. And there's a lot of things over the years, probably things I voted on, I didn't understand them. So that's okay. But, yeah. Well, oh, Madam Attorney, how do we change our vote? We're getting the evil eye from the comptroller and, oh my God, stop. Now, of course, today is school budget day. I assume you'll pass the school budget. There's never any questioning of that. Now, what happened at the council meeting was the closest we got to an insurrection by taxpayers. But we don't do that in the context of school budgets. We just pass them and move them along. You don't like it, you don't like the children. Yeah. So, I don't know. Well, that's about all we can talk about for that. Let's see. What else we got? We got a couple of texts. All sorts of things. Okay. All right. Somebody said the council just can't control spending, wasteful spending. No, they can't. I think, I like these people personally, and I do talk to them. But I don't think that was a good look last night to defeat a local law and then panic and say you didn't know what you were voting on and reverse it. A better approach would have been, all right, well, let's see, let's see what recommendations come out from the manager on changing things. And, we can always repass that law at a later date. So that would have been a better look. It just didn't look good. You say, I didn't know what I was. Yeah, exactly.